All right, folks, look, I am on my way to No Kings in New York City. You can hear it in the background already. We're on a major avenue, 7th Ave here in Manhattan. It goes right through Times Square. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at right now. This protest is huge. I was at the last one. This one looks even bigger. Take a look. And look, let's just get ahead of the narrative now for MAGA. All these people you see protesting, they're doing so peacefully. There's no violence, no nothing, no disruptions. These are people in the streets making their voices heard. It really doesn't get more American than that. And I'm now approaching Times Square. You can see it in the background. Take a look. I love it. See, when Democrats go protesting, we got music, we got good people in the streets, we have peaceful protests. When Republicans do it, you know, they invade the Capitol building. So this is amazing. I will keep you guys updated on what's taking place here in New York City, but it is truly remarkable to watch.
Folks, we're in downtown Los Angeles, California at one of the biggest worldwide No Kings Day marches taking place here. There are hundreds of thousands of people gathering for a massive march that's about to take place. This is way bigger than any protest I've seen. This is bigger than the No Kings protest we saw earlier this year in the summer. There's already more people here and it's just starting. That's how you know there's momentum, and the people are not happy with the extremist right-wing policies that we're seeing from the fascist administration. Let me show you some of the footage of what we're seeing today, the amount of people, the energy, some of the signs. Take a look at these clips right here. Wow.
I want to show you the unbelievable turnout of the No Kings protests in major cities across the US. This is Boston, Massachusetts. This is Washington, D.C., where over 200,000 people have turned out. This is New York City, where they expect probably 200,000 people as well. And this is Chicago, Illinois. This entire protest is likely the largest ever in modern American history.
Today's the day, No Kings. And listen, if you can't stand with a sign, cool beans, not everybody can, but you can load up in your car, call a bunch of your buddies and say, hey, let's for a half an hour circle the rally and give them a little honk honk and some love. Because there is nothing better than standing out at a protest and having cars go by going, yeah, that is what we live for. Okay? And for those of you, especially the women out here saying that protesting doesn't do anything, okay, there are these things called books, and there is history inside of them. You could go read what actually happened in the 60s and 70s, okay, because I wouldn't be able to have a credit card today, or be able to buy a home by myself, or, so many things I would not have been able to do in the 60s that I am able to do now, because women got their ass out into the streets and said, no way, we are equal to man. And to those maggot toe bags who don't think that we're equal to a man, cool beans for you. I'm better than you. That's all I have to say. You don't have to believe that we're equal. I do, though. You can be the weak ass little that your man wants you to be, okay? And I'm gonna be the independent, strong-minded, speaks her mind whenever the she wants. Independent lady. Okay? Once again, if you don't think protests work, books. Just read.
I can't make this up. I was literally just trying to go to the gym this morning and get a workout in. And on my way to the gym, I'm just like going through I think it's like a protest or something. Yeah, some kind of protest? I don't know. There's like hundreds of people here. I'm trying to figure out what we're protesting. I'm like trying to figure out if I should join them or just go to the gym.
Apparently, October 18th wasn't a normal day in the streets of many states in America. This is attributed to the No Kings protest 2.0. As you guys are aware, there's similar protest that happened a few months ago about the No Kings thing, and if obviously you're not aware what is happening, the No Kings thing is the protesters saying that they cannot bow down to no king in America. They say that kings and queens belong in countries like the UK, where we've got the monarchy and the queen or the king, and that does not happen in America. Basically, they're saying the president who is in charge of the country doesn't deserve their knee and they cannot bow down to them. them because of things that are basics, like for instance democracy, and also injustices like what's happening with ICE raid. Some feel like they're overdoing it, and some feel like undocumented migrants deserve to live in America, which some people would talk against that, or would say that their opinions towards that is that they believe undocumented immigrants should not be in the country. But well, the protesters feel like they should be given due process before being deported, or they should be given a platform in order for them to put the papers right so that they can continue living like the way they were living. And others feel like deporting them actually makes them separate from their families. Others go back to areas where they are not safe, and hence the need to make the process a little bit humane so that these people can find light at the end of the tunnel. Others feel like the government shutdown is really undermining their lives, and hence the need to go to the streets to just remind the lawmakers, especially on the GOP side, to tone down a little bit, hear the Democrats, and come to a consensus and have the government running once again. So it's a complete mix of ideas and mix of opinions. This is what made people go to the streets yesterday, 18th of October, and we have a lot that we've gathered from both the progressive side and the conservative side, and let's hear opinions of both sides. For the first half, mostly we've heard from the progressive side, and the second half we're gonna listen a little bit of the progressive and again a little bit of MAGA, and see how these two sides stand for this protest. What are their opinions, and do you think the current government is fascist? That's what we are going to investigate in these little videos of ours, so I'm gonna urge you to stick to the very end, and let's go.
We have some major news right now. No King's Day protesters in San Francisco made a huge human sign on the beach saying "No Kings, yes on 50," referring to Prop 50. Check this out. Look at this. It's literally thousands of people on the beach of San Francisco. No Kings, yes on 50 with an American flag in the center. I mean, completely peaceful. Not a single thing of violence, nothing. Completely peaceful protesting in San Francisco. Nearly 7 million people across the globe protested today, one of the largest protests in American history. That's official. That's been confirmed. Hundreds of thousands in New York, hundreds of thousands in Chicago, hundreds of thousands in Washington, D.C., thousands in San Francisco and San Diego, and in small towns and rural and urban areas across the country. This is what democracy looks like.
What is the story of Chicago?
Go to hell.
I was willing to die and lost a leg in a foreign country fighting for their rights.
Is that the message from Chicago?
Yes. What's interesting is that he doesn't understand that all the labor rights.
There's no way I'm bending the only knee I have left for a king here in America.
So if he thinks this place is going to be a fascist hub, no chance.
I can't sit idly by while rights are trampled on.
No Kings protest. What the f are you guys protesting? Are you protesting the fact that you live in the greatest country on this planet, and the fact that you get to protest means there's no kings in this country? What the f are you protesting? Are you protesting the fact that Donald Trump is doing his job because the Biden-Harris administration f this country up, opened the borders to let anybody in? Criminals left and right. And no, not everybody's criminals, but a lot of them are. And if you broke the law to get here, guess what? You're a criminal. And here's a newsflash for all you liberal Democrats that are paying out of pocket to go to these protests, which we know better. America doesn't want your woke agenda bullshit. We're sick and tired of being called racist because we don't agree with some bullshit that you're trying to push down our throat because 0.1% of the population thinks it's right. We don't want it. We want Donald Trump to do his job because that's what we hired him to do. You purple hair, lazy, hate your parents, you hate your boss, you hate anybody that holds you accountable. Accountability is a word you have never uttered in your life, because if you had, you would quickly change from a liberal Democrat to a conservative Republican, where we believe in accountability, where if you did something wrong in your life, it's your fault, and it's not the government's job to bail you out. I'm sorry that you pathetic individuals want to go to these protests and whine and bitch and complain about how miserable you have it on the greatest country in the world. people all over the world are looking at you like, what the is wrong with you people? You live in America. People that immigrate here, the reason that so many immigrants come here, they work their asses off and they get propelled to success is because they are able to witness the beauty in America and they take advantage of it and then they contribute back. But you whiny liberal snowflake Democrats will always be in this victimhood mentality where everything is Donald Trump's fault. What happens when he's out of office and it's back to some Democrat politician in office? What are you going to do then? Who are you going to blame then? Who's going to pay you to go to these protests then? What the are you going to do with your life after Donald Trump? Do any of you think about that? Because there's going to come a day where Donald Trump is not our president and somebody else is. And then at some point, you're going to have to do something with your life.
What's up, America? Chicago mayor civil war during the No Kings protest. So I want to show you some images from around the country of the No Kings protest. Then I want to talk about Chicago mayor Brandon Johnson. Actually, we'll talk about that first. Brandon Johnson told a crowd to be ready to defend democracy and be ready to fight fascism. The Chicago mayor is now saying that Donald Trump wants a civil war rematch. Wow, talk about inciting violence. What a piece of shit. Anyway, on top of that, let's show you some images of the No Kings protest throughout America. So here's in Times Square in New York City. Quite a few people showed up there, it looks like. Here's from the ground right here. There was some protests going on in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, although most of them were quite small. This is one exception, this one in Washington, D.C. Here's Bernie Sanders, who spoke in Washington, D.C. to the crowd. And here's demonstrators that are walking in Chicago. Same here in New York City. Nice butt there with the poop coming out. And then, of course, here's in Washington, D.C., same old horse shit. Woman wearing a taco hat. Great. And this is Ocala, Florida. I had a friend that was live streaming in Florida during a protest there. Had about 110 people. Although he wasn't in Ocala. Here's someone dressed up like the Trump baby. Then I thought this sign was interesting. Beginning Wednesday, November 5th, flood D.C. So looks like this ain't over. So that's what's going on with the No Kings protest and the Chicago mayor pretty much calling for violence, in my opinion.
So as a far-right fascist, I brought some friends to the No Kings rally here in Seattle, and we're walking amongst them right now. Natalie here, if you recognize her, came up from Portland. Got Mark here. Natalie brought her own immigration sign. If you've heard about her dad's here illegally, and he's in prison for doing really awful things, and taxpayers are having to pay his bill in prison. So Natalie's sign says, "Si no amas a la migra." What does that migra? What does that mean?
It means F your mother if you don't love ICE.
So should they deport your dad?
Absolutely.
Do you care to share why your dad is currently serving time?
Yeah, he's serving time because he me my entire life until I finally ran away and got away from him. He was a horrible person. Obviously, that's more than just enough to say. He also used to beat my entire family. And anyways, he's still living here in the States, obviously, getting paid for his living to stay in a prison where he gets fed 3 times a day, where he gets to learn English, where he gets to learn how to do things as if he were an actual decent human being, as if he deserved it, which he does not. So I want him out of this country. I want him out forever. I want all of them who are not here legally to leave.
You heard it here first. Deport Natalie's dad. Start there.
Yes,
he's in prison in Oregon right now.
Please get him out.
So there we have it, guys. We've listened to opinions from both sides, both the liberals and also the conservatives, and it seems like all of them have contradictory opinions, where this side supports the No Kings protest and the other side calls it out and they make jabs at each other, which is kind of funny, but it's also, I think it's not looking good, bruv, because the political landscape in America right now is like a floor full of lava, where you have to be careful with where you step, otherwise you'll be burnt. The leaders are not helping it either, because leaders from each side are obviously instigating their members to go against the other ones, forgetting that this should be a united state. Hence, the name is just losing relevance within time. It's high time for Americans to sit down and visualize this. Well, as we started the second half of the video, we clearly see the veteran who is saying that he lost a leg fighting a war, a meaningless war, obviously in the Middle East or somewhere there. He ended up losing a leg, which is not so good, and it feels like this time round he's not going to sit down at his home just looking at people losing their rights, or his rights specifically being trampled upon, and hence he gets to the street to protest, which is obviously showing the ambition of people who feel oppressed in a way. But others would feel like to ask this veteran, what kind of right do you feel that is being trampled upon by the current administration? Which is now why we want to look at the second half of the video, of which the MAGA speakers have now shared their opinions. Some of them don't understand the reason why Americans are going to the streets, which is actually painting America a bad image to the outside world, where they feel like people in America are very much privileged, but them going to the street and just demanding things, it feels like they are overly privileged and don't realize that they are living in a world full of freedom, where people who are coming into the country desire to have that, and when they come to the country they work hard and get exactly what they were dreaming or what they wanted. It's like they come and achieve the American dreams, yet the Americans themselves, who are more privileged, are failing to achieve the American dream because they feel like each and everything that comes out, they feel like they want to go to the streets and protest. Others ask themselves, where do these people get time to go to the street? Many cities, not even towns, that came to have this No Kings protest, they came in, and I think they are attributing it to ICE being on the streets and Donald Trump sending the National Guards to manually pick the undocumented migrants from the streets, which makes the occupants of that city to become overly tense, and the situation is just volatile, and they want an end to this, saying that they're using too much force, making the occupants scared. Might be a valid reason actually, because when ICE is on the street, of course they wouldn't care about the people, they would stereotype people when they are making their arrests, and sometimes these arrests do not even make sense. CNN is reporting that nearly 7 million people went to the No Kings protest yesterday, which is a huge number, and it clearly seems like it's one of the largest protests in the American history. Given that there's the organizer that says so, we have to take it with a grain of salt. It's not verified news, of course. It's just someone speculating or estimating or guesstimating the amount of people that turned out yesterday. But according to the videos that we've watched, you can clearly see that the number of people, especially in New York area, that was a huge number, and I don't think we've recorded such a huge number before. It just tells you that some people believe that the current administration is oppressing them, and hence the need to go to the street and just have a second round of No Kings. Also, they are pushing for a third one, November 5th, a Wednesday as well. The police obviously say that most of the rallies that happened yesterday were peaceful. There were elements of violence a little bit, but it was kind of handled, because I've not heard major news of maybe people being injured, some being unalived, or street chaos and something like that. I've not heard of that, so it means that maybe it was conducted by good organizers and people who turned out behaved well. So we had, as I mentioned, Chicago, we had Los Angeles, we had Washington DC, another area that the National Guards was sent to clean up crime in the city, arrests undocumented migrants, and which Donald Trump, according to him, says that it did work. Atlanta wasn't left behind also. They rallied to honor the city's deep-rooted civil rights legacy. The Saturday's demonstration set a powerful tone for the National Day of Protest, and a peaceful but urgent call to protect democracy and reject hate, and also to continue legacy for those who marched before. For Los Angeles, it seems like a demonstration that was like a block party. You know LA, how they do it. They have a different swagger towards it. A lot happened yesterday, because there's not so much that has been reported about the No Kings protests. I'm curious to follow up, and if there is a developing story, I think I'll be out to tell you what happened or what has developed. It's a story that I am willing to follow up to that November 5th, and I'll be here to report back to you guys. I want to urge you guys to share your opinions and thoughts about this No Kings protest. Do you think that these protesters are protesting for the right thing? Do you think the government, the current government or the administration are full of fascists and they need to be stopped? What do you think the government can do or the GOP members can do in order to convince the Democrats to come and talk so that the government shutdown can end? How long do you think the government shutdown is going to last? Do you think this protest is gonna change anything regarding to the government shutdown? You let me know in the comment section down there below. Please don't be shy to share your thoughts and opinion because they will be really insightful. I urge you to go and check the creators that are featured in this video today. Go onto their TikToks, follow their accounts, like their videos. For this video, make sure you smash a huge thumbs up button, consider subscribing, turn on post notifications so that you may not miss my next upload. Danny here, signing out. Peace.